Hey everybody, welcome to episode 86 of the Askdap show, where we answer your Volkswagen and Audi questions. On this episode, we answer questions from Water by the Bridge in Louisville, Kentucky.
A Facebook user asked, is the oil mist on the end of this pipe of my Mark 7 normal?
Okay, so you have oil mist. That, for anybody who's not familiar with exactly where that is, that's the PCV tube that comes back from the PCV valve in on the turbo inlet side. I've never seen that before. I would say that's not normal. If you've had it off before, it's possible that you didn't get it seated back properly when you reinstalled it, and that's why you kind of have that mist coming around. If not, maybe there's a crack in the pipe or something. So I would say that isn't normal. You shouldn't really see any of that stuff around that pipe. So it's very likely that you probably have a leak of some kind in that area, whether it's the pipe itself or if it's been off for any reason, it may be coming from where the pipe actually meets that connection. So I would say double check that and then go from there.
A user on YouTube asked, how long would this job take to do?
Okay, so Mark 7 Golf R downpipe, how long should it take? I would expect most shops to charge somewhere around 4 probably to 5 hours roughly for it. We have that DIY video, which I'll link to here, where you can check that out. I would say keep in mind you have to take down the drive shaft, to separate it from the transmission, and then kind of move everything to allow that downpipe to swing out of the way. It's not a super easy task, and again, 4 to 5 hours is probably something that I would expect from most shops for a job like that.
A user on YouTube asks, I have LED taillights on my Mark 7 and I just installed your adapter harness. I don't have my OBDelven yet, and the turn signals come on when I hit the brakes. What should I do? Okay,
so sounds like you have our LED taillight adapter harness, and you've installed the taillights and the adapter harness, but you haven't coded it yet because you're waiting for your OBDelven. So I generally recommend in that circumstance to not plug in the harness at all. Let it function the way it was before you do the coding, because essentially what you're doing is when you have that coding, it's rewiring the car to make what would be a brake light your turn signal. And so with the way it's set up, you have to do the coding to make it operate properly. Otherwise, obviously, there's some safety concerns around having the car not have the turn signals function at all, and that. So I always recommend don't plug in the harness. Just leave it unplugged. You can leave it installed and everything else. Just unplug it from the car side and the taillight side. Plug the normal harness directly into the taillight, and then you're done. So that will allow you to install it ahead of time and then code it later.
Lee Smith on YouTube asks, I have a 2017 GTI and I was wondering what it will take to add the virtual cockpit in my car.
So virtual cockpit. So anybody who's not familiar, the Mark 7 facelift, Mark 7.5 car has been announced in Europe, and it has a facelift of the exterior as well as some interior changes. One of them being virtual cockpit, which is what he's referring to is the instrument cluster is basically just an LED display or LCD display, and it has everything in there. It looks like a really cool setup, but retrofitting that, a lot like other things that I've discussed in the past, there's really no guide for retrofitting stuff like that, so someone's going to have to be the pioneer when it becomes available to determine how to make it work in a US model car. It's possible, it's not likely that they'll use a different dashboard, but it's possible that they do. If they don't, it will probably bolt in, but then making it function properly may be simple, may not be simple, and someone has to be the pioneer to get all that stuff functioning so that anybody knows, obviously, if it's even possible. I would say it's very likely that it's not going to be a financially viable option, just because I would guess that display itself probably costs $800 to $1,000 by itself, and then all the work associated with it. So it's really tough to say, and again, I don't think anybody's ever going to have any clear data on this until it happens, and even then, depending on the equipment of the car, it's possible that there's some variation to mean that if somebody makes a DIY, that your car, because it has different equipment, might be different, and your car could take a completely different set of steps to actually make a retrofit like that. So sounds really cool, but unfortunately I think that retrofit probably isn't really viable for most people.
Joe S on YouTube asked, will this coating enable the puddle lights for Mark 7s?
Okay, so this question was asked on are how to code the MK7 auto power folding mirrors. And in that video, what I did was I showed the manual process of going through to do that. Couple things. That does not activate the puddle lights. The European power folding mirrors have puddle lights that you can activate. That's a separate coding that's required to make that happen. Also, another note is something that I didn't talk about in that video is if that coding means that you have to use the mirror knob to fold the mirrors in manually. Well, not manually, but use the switch to fold the mirrors in. There is an OBDelven app that allows you to, every time you lock your car, it will auto power fold the mirrors in, which is a feature that most people are looking for. So again, if you look at OBDelven app, that's gonna be what most people are gonna want for that. And then again, coding the puddle lights is gonna be a separate thing. And that's, I haven't really looked into it, but that's probably gonna be in the convenience section of the body control module, because that's what controls most of the body electrics. Thank you for watching episode 86 of the Askdap show, where we answer your Volkswagen Audi questions. If you have any questions or comments about the questions asked in this show, be sure to leave in the comments below. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more like it.